need your help, folks. I've got a decision to make and I would love to hear your opinion on this. I need to change these grips because these grips are starting to look a little bit old, a little bit worn, and when the bike is so nice and clean and shiny, there's nothing worse than old sort of dull grips. So I don't know if you can quite see on the camera as well, there's a little bit of a sort of, it's not quite a split, but yeah, that just annoys me. And the blue on this grip, the blue right in there, was just fading a little bit. And then on this grip, you can see, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but it started to smooth out a little bit on top. That's just normal wear and tear. So yeah, I'm going to replace them anyway. But the question is this: do I stick with these black grips with a blue writing, which clearly match the bike, or do I go with my old faithful grey Renthal race grips? So if anybody has ever seen my videos on my Fireblade, you might have noticed that I've had, and I've used for many years, grey, sort of mid-grey Renthal race grips. And the reason I always used to go for the Renthal grips is because they're a little bit thinner than these grips and I prefer the thin feel. Having said that though, these aren't that bad at all. They're all right actually. I like them, so I can, you know, I can put up with them. That's not an issue. But yeah, so what are your thoughts? Grey Renthal grips or black with the blue writing Domino, however you pronounce it, grips? What else is coming up with a bike? So I have bought a beautifully machined titanium sump plug, because when I do the next oil change, which will be soon, I'm going to replace the old steel plug with this lovely titanium one, and I'll put a washer there as well, a sump plug washer. And yeah, so that will come up soon. And also when I do the oil change, I've bought this upgraded racing oil filter. Now this oil filter from High Flow are really good filters actually. The difference between the racing filter and the standard filter, the racing filter comes with this nut on the end, so that when you come to take the filter off again, then it's a lot easier. I don't know if any of you have ever changed the oil on your bike and you've had a standard filter and you've pissed about for ages because it's on really tight, because the previous owner had tightened it up too much, and then you can't get it off and you try loads of different methods and eventually it comes off, but you just think, wow, that was a pain in the arse. So this just makes life easier when you're taking it off. And the other thing about the racing oil filter is that a standard filter filters oil down to 50 microns. This filters oil down to 20 microns. So if anybody's got a sports bike, I would definitely recommend considering, I mean, consult a mechanic if you want to, but I'd definitely recommend considering upgrading to a racing oil filter. So that will be done soon. I don't know when the oil change is going to be done because I'm not in a major rush, because I'm not going to be riding much over the next couple of months at all really. But it will be done, and I will film the oil change for anybody that's interested in seeing that. Also, what I'm going to do this today actually, is put another layer of polish on there. Now somebody asked me about 2 weeks ago, why do you polish your bike, and why do you use this polish? Well, Autoglim Super Resin polish is absolutely fantastic. There's a difference between a polish and a wax. So a polish is designed to do stuff, which I'll explain in a second. A wax is just a nice shiny layer. Autoglim are brilliant, awesome products. Now, what does a polish do? Let me bring you over to the whiteboard to explain this. Not that anybody's probably all that bothered about understanding what a polish does, but I'm going to show you anyway. So imagine you've got your layer of paintwork, which is never completely smooth, right? That's not just an excuse because I can't draw a straight bloody line. Your paintwork is never completely smooth. And then on top of your paintwork, and I'm exaggerating the size of this layer, but on top of your paintwork is a layer of clear coat. So in other words, this is your paintwork and this is a layer of clear coat, which is your lacquer basically, which protects the paintwork. Now over time, when you sort of touch the paintwork and you wash it, in the wash mitt, when you're washing it, then you'll get a little bit of dust and grit and stuff in there. It's never, you can never completely prevent dust and grit getting inside the wash mitt. And as you wash the bike, you are actually rubbing tiny bits of dust or grit over the paintwork, well, over the lacquer, the clear coat. And then what happens to this layer of clear coat over time is it starts to look like this. Obviously this is a cross section, so if you cut this tank in half and you looked at it with a microscope, this is what you would see. So in other words, the clear coat forms like divots, and these represent the hairline scratches on the paintwork that are quite hard to see unless you're up really close or you use a UV light. What a polish does, two things. When you put a layer of polish over the top, it fills these cracks, these divots. So it fills them to help protect the clear coat. So this black layer is the layer of polish, and then leaves a smooth layer behind. Because if you imagine a non-smooth layer of clear coat, as the light hits the clear coat, the light is then reflected in all different directions, so it looks less shiny. But if the light hits a smooth layer, the light is reflected in nice smooth waves of light, if that makes sense. I'm getting quite technical now, probably more technical than I even bloody understand, to be fair. But in other words, that's why a smooth surface looks shinier than a non-smooth surface, because on the non-smooth surface the light's going in all different directions. So the layer of polish fills in some of these hairline tiny divots in the clear coat, leaves a smooth layer behind or on top of that, but it also therefore adds a layer of protection. So if you imagine a bit of dirt and a bit of grit now sticking on your paintwork, it's actually sticking into the layer of polish rather than actually cutting into your clear coat. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not an artist, that was probably a really bad drawing, so I'm going to rub that off and then we'll talk no more about it. But yeah, so that's why I polish my bike. Makes it shiny, but also protects it basically. So I'm going to do that today. God, I wish the weather was good so I could go and scrub these bloody tyres in. I've gone for Michelin Pilot Power 2CTs, one of my favourite tyres ever. I've said this many times before, but I'll just say it once more. Michelin Pilot Power 2CT are Michelin's original dual compound tyre, which means that in the centre of the tyre there is harder rubber, harder compound for durability, and on the edges of the tyre, on the shoulders of the tyre, there's a softer compound to give you better grip when you're leant over. Now that technology, two compound technology, is what 2CT stands for. It's not new, it's been out for years. I think Michelin Pilot Power 2CTs, these tyres were first released, I think in about 2005, 2006. And because the newer versions of them are available, like for example Michelin Power 5s, Michelin Power 6s, they're just newer evolutions of this original tyre technology. And they're probably better because as new tyres get released and technology improves, or tyre technology improves, then tyres get better. But because those new ones are available, these ones are actually really great value for money, and performance wise they're absolutely amazing. I love them. This pair of tyres cost me £216 delivered, and then I went and got them fitted for I think 60 quid to get the two tyres fitted. So really good value for money, great tyres, but I just can't bloody scrub them in yet because the weather is shit and it's really cold. So yeah, there you go, that's what's happening with the bike just lately. Oil change video coming up at some point soon, next few weeks, maybe next month or so, whenever I get round to it. But yeah, I need your help folks. Grey Renthal grips, or stick with these black and blue Domino, however you want to pronounce it. Do I stick with these or do I go with the Renthals? So yeah, that's it from me. Stay safe, have fun. Bye bye.